This is it, the fourth and final part of painting Grinkrak's Looncourt. In this video, I'm going to cover painting the bases. These will be made to look like mossy cave floors. It'd be easier to paint them with the model left off, but for some reason I glued them on, so it made it a little bit more difficult. I'll be showing two in this video, one from last week's Squigger miniature, and the other is from the goblin with the big shield and Squigger pole. As you might have seen from the previous videos, some of the bases have extra details such as pools, frogs, lizards and mushrooms, etc. I'll cover a few of these today, but you can let your imagination run with these, especially the frogs and mushrooms, which in real life they come in quite interesting colours. Starting out, I base coated the base with Mechanica Standard Grey. Cover the whole of the base with this except the rim. To get a smooth coat, apply 2 to 3 coats. If there are a few areas that remain black, such as in the cracks or deep recesses, that's completely fine, you just look like shadows. I've used quite an old big brush for this. This has saved me from ruining all my good brushes. Okay, now that's dried, I'm going to start highlighting it. This will be done with a 50-50 mix of Mechanica Standard Grey and Astronomican Grey. Normally I do the shading first, but for this I want to darken the colour down a bit, so I'll add shading next. And for that shading, I've mixed some Rhinox hide, or it could be any dark brown, with some black. This creates a nice dark, muddy look to the shadows, and this will be applied under the models, in the cracks and around the bottom edges of the rocks and other areas like that. And then you can deepen the recesses just by simply using black. Now next up is the second highlight. This is pure Astronomican Grey. This will be on all the hard edges of the rocks and on the stalagmites, and also stippled randomly on the floor areas. This highlight doesn't need to be too neat or fine, as it will give a bit more of a realistic look. For the stalagmites, I do one more highlight of Screaming Skull. This has left the base looking pretty grey now, which is fine, but I want to add a bit of extra colour to it by painting on a moss effect, such as here on Grinkrak's base. First is watered down warpstone glow. You don't want to go as far as you would for a glaze consistency, but when it's still fairly runny, add it pretty much randomly but mostly focused on the centre of large flat areas and around the bases of the rocks. Just be careful not to overdo it, as you'll lose all your stonework. At this point, I just paint all the rims black to cover up all the mess I made with all the grey. Once that has dried, I add moot green, but in smaller quantity. Well, that's the basics of the base finished. All that's left is the details, such as this lizard, which is half on the base, half on the big door shield. This was simply painted orange, and I added yellow to the mix for progressive highlights. On the big squig's base, I painted the lizard yellow. Like I said at the beginning though, these little details are a fun way to let your imagination run wild, if you want of course. You can paint them muted colours, or you can paint them really bright colours. It's a fantasy game after all, so you could do them any way you want, or any way you could think of. There's also some water on a few of the bases. This was first painted with Stegodon Scale Green, and highlighted it with Sotek Green. Followed by a couple of highlights made by adding white to the Sotek. And with that, the bases are finished. I love the cave look. This was a simple way to do them. Other ways could be a reddish brown stone or more turquoise colour which has a glow to it, or maybe just cover them in grass with some of the rocks poking through. This brings us to the end of my Grinkrak Looncourt series. I hope you've enjoyed them. I'm already planning which projects to do these mini series with next. Let me know what bit has been your favourite in the comments below, and also let me know if there's any videos you'd like me to cover or any techniques. I've already planning to do a beaten steel look which has been requested by a friend. And also look out for a new video next Friday, and keep your eyes out for my YouTube shorts which I upload at least 2 a week. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, please subscribe so you don't miss out. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye everyone.